Microsoft is beefing up the Xbox Game Pass to the cheers of some and chagrin of others. Let's chat about it in the comments below, but first, my opinion. I'm Tarmack, and this is Feature Creep. Surely you've heard the news by now that Microsoft is making changes to the Xbox Game Pass. If not, here's a primer. The Xbox Game Pass is similar to the Origin Access program from Electronic Arts. You pay a monthly subscription and you get access to a back catalog of games. In specific, the subscription service costs $10 US a month and currently has a library of a bit over 100 games combined between the Xbox One and 360. The latter have been patched for backwards compatibility so that they'll run on the Xbox One as well. It's Netflix for video games. Well, not quite, though with Nvidia still working hard on the GeForce Now streaming service, we might not be all that far away from a proper streaming experience for many games. With the Xbox Game Pass, you pay your subscription and then you can simply download and play any of the games in the Game Pass library. It's got older titles and more recent ones, Halo 5, Mad Max, Injustice. Enough games that chances are it's got something for everyone in there. And if you compare it to the mostly defunct concept of renting games, where you'd pay $5 or $6 for a couple of days with a new video game release, it's pretty great value, assuming that there are games in the subscription that you don't already own. And Microsoft is increasing the chances Game Pass has something you don't already own. It starts with Sea of Thieves when the game launches. What Microsoft is doing is including first-party titles in the Game Pass on launch day, rather than when it's clear the game isn't selling anymore like EA did with Titanfall 2 on Origin Access. Currently, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, and Crackdown 3 are all slated to be part of the Game Pass on their respective launch dates. This is a big deal, especially in the current games-as-a-service climate of the industry. Now, some retailers are not too happy about this change, and others are likely just going along with it in order to delay the inevitable, that being the eventual demise of retail game purchases, which I've discussed before. One retailer in Austria pulled all references to Xbox hardware from their site in retaliation. GameStop, on the other hand, signed a contract with Microsoft to get more involved in Game Pass sales in their retail stores. It's easy to understand why they may not be so happy about this change, though. Retail shops like GameStop and many others exist almost entirely because of used game sales. They buy a game from you for $10, if you're lucky, and sell it to the next person for $40 or more sometimes. Why sell a new game when your profit margin is going to be only $10 when you can sell a used game where the profit margin was $30, right? And if gamers are signing up for a digital-only subscription, there is no used physical copy they can trade back in or sell to you, so your inventory of used products will take a dive. For gamers, though, this is a clear slam dunk, right? $10 a month and you get a bunch of games, including new games from Microsoft themselves as first-party titles. In fact, in the near future, we're likely to see third-party titles start to pop up on this subscription service on their launch days as well. It's hard for me to argue that this is not good value, because frankly, of course it is. If you were going to spend $60 on a new game like Sea of Thieves, but you weren't sure if you were going to get enough content in the game to enjoy it for a long time, that same $60 gets you 6 months of Game Pass with access to the game you wanted, plus a whole bunch of other titles. Netflix was seen as a bizarre, uncomfortable thing initially, but through providing a better service than its competitors, such as the wasteland of Blockbuster, it became the industry king. Video games are not really any different in that, for the most part, gamers are a bit fickle and want the newest shiny game on the market as quickly as they can get it. You can see this in the early access market, with gamers climbing over each other to get access to unfinished games earlier and earlier in development. One of the biggest games being the notoriously unfinished PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It's clear that while there are a contingent of gamers who look backwards to older games, the biggest markets are a select few forever games, your Counter-Strikes, PUBGs, World of Warcrafts, and then your new releases. Where all of this goes in the reasonably near future is uncertain, because Microsoft is of course only one part of the market. What you can be certain of, in my view, is that this will not be the last we're hearing of newly launched titles on a subscription service like Game Pass. Over the next few years, I'll be surprised if we don't get something similar from Sony for the PS4. This isn't the capitulation for being behind, as many folks are arguing, with Microsoft desperately trying to play catch-up. Subscription income is a phenomenally profitable method of doing business, because quite simply, most people who buy a subscription underuse it. World of Warcraft would not operate properly if everyone subscribed logged in at the same time. Spotify and Netflix would be in trouble if every user watched or listened to content a majority of every day. Planet Fitness simply doesn't have the capacity for their members to all be active gym users. All subscription services are structured in such a way as to take advantage of a user's tendency to underuse or even forget that they're subscribed. It's anecdotal, but it's been a long time since I played anything on Origin Access, despite having been subscribed for a while. This is the entire premise, and it's a very successful way of doing business. I'm totally going to go to the gym every day. I'm totally going to play loads of those 100 games Microsoft is putting on their Game Pass. If you do, you're the minority. Will there be an all-in-one gaming subscription that every game is a part of? Of course not. The indie market is a special unique snowflake, and it will always be. Sony, Microsoft, Valve, Blizzard, Rockstar are not about to work with each other on this kind of venture. However, each of them is strong enough in their own right to offer a subscription product to access all of their games, and many third-party titles if they wish to go down that road as well. In fact, I'm surprised that Blizzard, of all companies, wasn't the first to the table with a Blizzard subscription, giving WoW access, Hearthstone cards, Overwatch boxes, Heroes boxes, and goodies for StarCraft and Diablo 3 every month. As a bit of an aside, what is interesting and something that I've not seen many mentions of yet is that all 3 games Microsoft is including in the Game Pass have extremely strong cooperative gameplay, which is something the industry in general has shied away from for a while. I suspect, and feel free to quote me on this, that expanded cooperative titles are going to be more common over the next few years. We've seen Dauntless and Monster Hunter World, soon we're looking at State of Decay 2, Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves, A Way Out, and even Anthem, though that's been delayed because of another Battlefield game, or as likely to give it a bit more distance away from Mass Effect Andromeda. Co-op games also have a huge benefit in a subscription model, because it makes your friends far more likely to subscribe as well. All of that said, I do think there are some pitfalls that not everyone is considering, which are worth being wary of. Netflix doesn't charge you extra to see behind-the-scenes footage of a show, or get the next season early. In games, chances are most of the new titles, if not all, will be loaded with microtransactions, even if they're cosmetic only. It's a bit of an added feature element that the TV and movie industries can't really benefit from in a meaningful way, because unlike them, gamers have been conditioned over the last decade to defend these business practices. In fact, this is made worse by the human tendency to ignore the fact that you're paying a subscription fee when considering the end value of enjoying a show or product on that subscription. I suspect that gamers playing games as part of a subscription service are also much more likely to engage in microtransaction purchase as a result, similar to how gamers justify spending money on free-to-play games in order to support the developers. What worries me, though, in all of this is that over the past few years we've had a number of games people really enjoyed, if perhaps not in significant enough quantities, that get shut down. Paragon and Gigantic to name the most recent, and similarly to the raft of online-only or online primary games like Overwatch, League of Legends, and the like, video game subscription is a very clever and effective way of implementing always-online DRM, in a way that is potentially appealing to the end customer because they're willing to trade game ownership for convenience. If you stop paying, your game goes away. It's that simple. The more that we tread into the realm of games as a service, the more often this is going to happen, and a subscription model moving in the direction of digital only is certainly not immune from games being shuttered later on down the road. It's even further removed from the concept of owning our video games as products that cannot be taken away from us, a position that is a constantly moving battlefield front with an uncertain future. Now, I don't think that we're in any danger of the entire industry going subscription only in the foreseeable future, because frankly, if that were how the consumer mindset wanted things, Netflix would have killed Blu-ray sales, which has yet to occur. However, you can look to Netflix for some degree of inspiration for what I think we're likely to see over the next 5 years or so. Netflix commissions shows which are exclusive to their subscription service. It's entirely within the realm of possibility to expect some games to be developed exclusively for the Xbox Game Pass, and any other service which may follow it. It's also very likely to result in primarily multiplayer experiences, which is really my biggest concern with the whole system. Sea of Thieves is a fun title. I played it all through the various alpha and beta tests, but it is definitely a multiplayer-first game, despite being able to play solo, which is a bit of a grind and a significant disadvantage. They confirmed no pay-to-win microtransactions, but you can damn well bet it's going to have cosmetics, because as a multiplayer game, looking cool in front of your friends is a big selling feature for many people. Ultimately, we are going to see a lot more of this model going forward, subscription-based massive game library access systems where you pay a monthly fee and just smorgas your board as long as you can possibly manage it, despite all research and existing subscription model evidence suggesting that you, on average, will underuse the service. Whether Sony jumps into this is debatable, as they have been focusing more heavily on single player than some of the others, but I still think that it's likely. Just be aware that buying into this very appealing game distribution method is not without its issues, and the more we move away from game ownership, the more often we're going to have games that we love to play taken away when the servers get closed down in favor of more profitable titles. If anyone but me cares about such silly things. So, where do you stand on the Xbox Game Pass? Is it good value? Do you have concerns about it, how it's being implemented, or the system in general? Let's chat about it in the comments below. After a bustling Christmas season and several unfortunate issues at work which caused my January to feel a bit like trying to play whack-a-mole with a pool noodle, I'm back to something resembling normal. Got a few more videos in the pipe, and I'd like to thank you for sticking around despite my absence of superiority complex in auditory form. Glad you're still here and thanks for watching. My name's Tarmack. That's all I have to say.